All right, so we are here tonight with Outlaws Comics doing an interview, talking to them about their new book that's coming out. What is your expected date of that?
We're looking to release on Kickstarter somewhere between July and August. It keeps kind of getting pushed with the art because of COVID. Things are getting done a little slower than originally intended because we all have kids and the school schedules kind of messing up our work.
Totally understand. It it's crazy how COVID has been um, shutting us in, but at the same time, I feel like it's connecting a lot of people, especially through stuff like this. I never would have met half the people I've been talking to lately about comics if I didn't start this. And I've been learning a lot about the kind of underground comics, I guess is the best way to put it. Those indie, like very new writers and artists. It's actually really cool. So again, today we have Outlaws Comics. If you have not already hit that subscribe button, make sure that you go hit that subscribe button. We would love to see and hear from you, and leave us a comment where you're coming from, and make sure you go follow Outlaws Comics on Instagram. So, how did you get into this? I got to know.
Um, the story itself, I wrote when I was probably 12. I was in sixth grade. I wrote it as a movie script. I was a big Buffy fan, and it was kind of the inspiration. And then it just sat for years. I wrote tons of other stuff, but I kind of put it down when my older son was born, and I stopped writing for a while. Then I started writing again, and I converted it into like a TV show script. And I was eventually the point came when I was like, this isn't going to happen. So then I wrote it for a fifth time into a novel, and then someone's like, bro, your writing is a little bit too descriptive. You make the reader feel like an asshole.
Okay.
So maybe try writing it into a comic script and have somebody draw it. I was
Okay.
like, all right. And he was going to do it, but he didn't really have the time. So I found someone who would.
Very cool. So, what is this story kind of about? What What are we going to see when we get into it?
It's a story of a dude with a kind of suspect past. Nobody really knows what's going on with him in the beginning. It's him and his friends, and it is very similar in premise to Buffy, sort of. Small town, group of
Okay.
friends fighting monsters, demons, but instead of doing like the build up over like 50 books where it goes from small monsters to bigger ones, we just kind of start out, you know, jumping right into the fray with demons.
That's kind of cool. I mean, so basically you decide to do the opposite of the current Amazing Spider-Man run, where they took this amazing concept and built it up and then just kind of beat it like a dead horse. You're getting right into it and you are diving head on, and I can't wait to see that. I mean, from the sound of it, the Buffy vibe, the small town vibe, it sounds so cool. I really like that you're jumping into that action, because I feel like a lot of comic books, especially when they're coming from newer creators, they want to kind of build their name and build up to it. But I actually like the idea of jumping straight head on in, because right off the bat, you're seeing the action, you're seeing the all the different aspects of what makes a comic book so amazing, which, like you said, is that descriptive um, piece to it.
Yeah, and the first episode's a bit of the episode, geez. First issue is a bit of a build up, getting to know the characters a little bit. But by the very end of the first one, you meet the big bad. It's not like 4 seasons of Supernatural before you hit Lucifer. We
Yeah,
hit the big bad guy in the very end of the first issue.
that's awesome. So, are we talking like a superhero book? Like, who's going to be really psyched about this? What kind of genre are we looking
Anyone who
at?
likes Supernatural, and if you're talking comics, Constantine.
Okay, very cool.
So,
That's awesome. I mean, that's Constantine. I don't know if you ever seen Arrow when he was in, when he made that cameo in the show Arrow. Yeah, it made me want to go out and watch that show. And I mean, that show, from the episodes I've been able to watch with all the other shows that my wife and I watch, it's phenomenal. The way that they do it, it makes me excited for this book. If that's what it's comparing to, I love it already. I mean, that's awesome. So you said that you didn't really pick up a comic before all of this. Have you picked up comics since?
oh yeah. For a while, I was on a tear.
Okay.
I read every issue of Preacher. I read a bunch of Constantine. I read some of Swamp Thing. Um, Why the Last Man was probably my favorite series.
Okay. That's awesome. So I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Southern Bastard.
No,
So that's
can't
one
say
that my
that.
buddy kind of got into. It's kind of the total opposite of like what people think when they think of comics. It's very um, out there. From what he's described it as, is basically it's a high school football coach who just goes on a killing spree, and it's so interesting. And I actually picked up issue one, and uh, it's such an interesting book to read. I wanted to kind of dive into issue two. I just, with everything else that I'm picking up and whatnot, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, this right here
Yeah,
is what I have to read right now. So, it is what it is, but I get to it. So,
yeah.
who's doing the artwork for this project that you're working on?
Um, this girl, Allison Shepard. I was trying to find an artist, and I didn't want to hire somebody I didn't know.
Okay.
But my wife said that she went to high school with a girl who was really into art. If I wanted her to get a hold of her, she'd let her know. So she messaged her, and she was a little iffy about it. And then I went and met with her, and I pitched the idea to her. Within like 10 minutes, we came to an agreement, and she's been doing the artwork ever since. The second issue, we did hire a colorist. Her name's
Okay.
Dominika. Can't even pronounce her last name. She's from Poland,
It happens.
but they're both amazing.
That's awesome. So you've been writing this story and working on it and developing it since you were 12. So how much has it changed over the years?
Oh God, I read that first draft. I wanted to puke. It was disgusting. It literally read like a Buffy the Vampire fanfic. But
Which isn't always a bad thing, but I mean, at the same time, I can understand.
though I gotta say, I'm pretty sure Eric Kripke was like stealing my shit when I was a kid, because a lot of the stuff that I came up with ended up in Supernatural when it eventually came out.
That's crazy. That's so cool, though, that um, as a fan, I love seeing like when you think of something and then your idea, like the way that you wanted it to go, whether it was a theory or whether it was something so interesting and just cool, even if it was something way out of the box thinking, when it ends up on the screen and you're like, wow, I called that. It's such a cool feeling, though.
Yeah, it was like that, mainly the small tweak where, like, Buffy and every other show, it was like the monsters looked like monsters. Supernatural always did it that little tweaked way where they looked like people, but they had like long fingernails or something. And I
Okay.
always liked that because it always made it a little creepier to me, because it means the guy next door, he might be a little weirder than you think.
For sure. So, without giving us any spoilers, without giving us anything major, what is this whole book about? Like, what are we going to see? What type of characters are we going to see? Like, is this vampires? Is this Like you said, there's demons, there's monsters, but how are we going to dive into it?
Oh, we got some vampires. We got one very prominent vampire who's
Okay.
going to be at least in the first 4 issues. I think she's probably going to stick around a lot longer than that. Um, as far as bad guys, we're mostly focusing on demons for the because our first series is going to be 4 issues, and then we're going to do a bit of a time jump after that. But it was originally supposed to be 6 issues, but I cut it down because I felt the story would become a little too dragged on. But we got demons, we got vampires. The characters they're very fleshed out in my head because every character is somebody that I've known.
Okay.
So whenever I had the artists working on them, I just raided people's Facebooks and sent them pictures of every single person that is in the book.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I know the characters better than most of them know themselves.
Hey, you gotta see. It's the one cool thing about being a writer is that you really have to pull from what you know. And I've always found that writers who really succeed, like one of my favorite writers right now in comics is Donny Cates. And when he talks about his characters, whether he created them or they were a character that he knew growing up, you can see that he is just a giant nerd about it. Like he loves those characters. He dreams in comics. He sees it, and it's amazing because it's cool to kind of see the new generation of comics and the older generations of comic fans being like, I actually really like this. Like, this is reminding me of 70s style Thor. This is reminding me of where Venom all started. And obviously, I wasn't born when Venom first came out, and I wasn't born when Thor first came out. But it's amazing to see these really cool connections that people are having from one generation to the next of writers and artists and all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll see a little smidgen of some supernatural here, a little bit of Jay and Silent Bob over here. You're
Okay,
gonna get all kinds of fun stuff.
that's awesome. So you're doing a Kickstarter. How's that gonna look? Are you gonna be doing? So I've seen like people do all of these different styles where, oh, you pledged this much money, we're gonna put you in the book, or you do this and we're gonna do that. How are you guys doing it?
Um, for this first one, we're gonna set it low. We're gonna set it at like anywhere between 100 and $300 because I've done this before, and
Okay.
I was a noob. The book wasn't done. Um, I had really unrealistic plans for it, so I had it set at like $5,000.
Okay.
Um, oh, what else was there? Oh, I did no social media advertising at all. I had about 50 followers on Instagram, and big whoop, it failed.
Yeah.
So this time we're gonna do a tier to get the books digitally. We're gonna do a tier to get the physical copies. For anyone who's already read the digital version of the first one and just wants the second one, I have a special one in there just for them.
Okay.
Um, we're gonna I'm looking to find somebody to do a variant cover for us so we can do one of those.
Okay.
Um, I might do posters. I'm not sure, but we're not doing anything crazy this time around.
Yeah.
I just want to get it funded so I can get books out to people.
That's awesome. And so with all that said, it's very cool to see how this has kind of evolved over time. So you said issue ones came out digitally and you're looking to do print. And I mean, it's very uncommon for a brand new creator to kind of put their comics out through print. A lot of them put it out through digital simply because it's easier. So what drove you to do it through print instead of just digital?
Well, like I told you before we actually started this, I grew up in a house with books. I like physical media. I really don't like digital media. That's just me. I'm a little
Okay.
old school that way. I'm more like a 50-year-old man than a 28-year-old man. I like books. I like things that I can hold in my hands.
For sure.
And honestly, I want to geek out whenever the box shows up here with all the books in it.
That's going to be amazing. That will be the day. I can't wait to see that video on Instagram. That's going to be so cool. I'm definitely going to make sure. Let us know when that Kickstarter's live. I would love to get a physical copy of that and all of the issues because, I mean, that's phenomenal. The fact that you are going after it and achieving that dream and working toward being able to put out this new content is something that not a lot of people do. It's hard work. I mean, last time I talked to Ace Comics or Ace Entertainment, and their one book took them 6 months from concept to the first issue, and then they're looking at another month or two for the next issue because they're a small organization. It's not like Marvel and DC where they can pump out books every 2 weeks. So, I mean, you've been working at this for years, and you're seeing the profit of it emotionally and hopefully financially of being able to create something that is going to be phenomenally sought after in the market.
Yeah, from concept to the finishing of the first issue, it took about 2 years for the artwork because she had never done comic work before. Neither had
Okay.
I. We had no idea what we were doing. It was all experimental. We are about a third of the way through the second one now, and it's been about 4 months.
Okay.
So hopefully, if we make the money on this one, we'll be able to afford to get her moving a little faster, get her some better stuff to work on it. And yeah, we could use some financial backing. I got 4 kids.
So, with all that being said, what I have to ask this question because I've always been curious. You see these old school comics, and obviously the artists weren't worse back then. It's not like these artists weren't trying their hardest and they came out with these books that were very like simplistic. What are you guys using
Yep.
for drawing? Is it physical? Is it digital?
She's using it's all digital.
Okay.
Yeah. She does it all digital. Originally, I think she was sketching it with pencils and then scanning them and then coloring them
Okay.
digital, but this time around it's all digital. It goes so much faster.
That's awesome.
I thought you
And
were going to ask a completely different question because I look at old comics and I'm like, these guys were considered the greatest comic book artists of all time, and
yeah,
honestly, the faces weren't great.
that too. I have to say there was certain things about old school comics, like even looking back, um, like it. I've got a True Believers here, and I mean
Yep.
it. It was so simplistic, and like you said, these
Yeah,
artists were
especially the women.
considered. Yeah, these artists were considered the best of their time, and this came out originally 1961. So I mean, it's not like it was that long ago. I mean, it was a while ago, but it's not like we're talking about the very first comics that ever came out. We're talking that silver, bronze, like starting to enter um, the meat of that silver age of comics, and it's
Yeah, we're
so
not talking
interesting.
peanuts.
Exactly. Like I've got this right here, and I mean, Electro's face in that is just. I'm not sure how well you can see that.
Yeah. Yeah, and the suits, man. God.
That
Some of
too.
those old school outfits, they get you.
And like that's one of my biggest things. I've been watching a lot of like Ink Master and the new school style of tattooing and
Yeah.
whatnot. And it really brought me back to like thinking about comics, like the new school style of comics. You've got Ryan Stegman's style where it's very blown up and they're constantly adding emotion into these emotionless faces, which is amazing. Um, Iron Man back in the first time that it came out, they talk about how much emotion they had to add into just a steel face. And it's like, in some sense, you're thinking, well, you didn't really do that much. And in another sense, now we're seeing all of this new stuff with Iron Man and other characters that are the same way. I mean, Spider-Man was one of the huge ones who you hardly ever saw his face when he was Spider-Man, but the eyes showed that emotion and the way that they changed and whatnot. It's really cool how the artistry's kind of grown and changed. And I feel like because comics have become so big, artists are less timid. They kind of shoot for the moon. They really want to see these larger than life characters come to life.
Yeah, and that's the main thing I told her when we started the book. I was like, she's like, how do you want it to look? Do you want it to look like old school comic style or what? I'm like, I want it to look like you're drawing somebody's face, like for a
Yep,
portrait. I want it to look like people.
that's awesome. So, do you have any visuals of issue 2? Anything that you can release to us that either hasn't been released or something that has that you're just excited to show off that's done, or are you guys still in the early
If I
phases?
could, I would, but I don't have anything physical.
Okay.
But I have posted a lot of stuff to Instagram if they want to go check it out. And also, if you go to my Instagram and message me, I'm literally giving away digital versions of the first book for free.
That's awesome. So, right below in the ticker at the bottom, at Outlaws Comics, go check them out. Message him, let him know that you would like to see that first issue and get hype about the second one. Again, July is going to be when all of that hits. The Kickstarter is what they're aiming for, and you can join on the ground floor of that issue number 2. And again, you said you're going to push probably to 4, 5, or 6.
We're going to do 4 for this first run, and then we'll pick back up at 5 with a little bit of a jump to a little bit in the future. Because the
So,
first issue is, well, the first 4 are in 2012. So you're
okay.
going to see a lot of flip phones. But it's a lot of the interpersonal stuff between the characters are things that actually happen between me and these people. Because the main character, look at this, shave off some of the beard hair. That's what he looks like.
Okay.
It's me at a fresh 20 years old.
So we jump back to 2012. How far of a jump are we going to go into the next set of issues?
Today.
Today? Okay. Cray for Comics says, don't knock the flip phone.
Oh, I'm not. I missed the flip phone. Things were a
And,
lot less complicated when it was flip phones.
oh, for sure. There was probably a lot less divorces too.
Yeah, there's a reason that I jumped back to 2012 because I mean I guess I could technically tell the story with my character as me now, but I feel like, and I'm not knocking younger millennials, but I feel like if you were 20 at the beginning of this decade, it's a little different than being 20 now.
Definitely.
You know what I'm
You're
saying?
seeing a whole different side of stuff. My brother and I are 5 years apart, and I'm 28 myself. So he always says I'm a millennial, and I'm like, yeah, but you're like you don't remember the '90s. Like you were 3 when 2000 hit, so you don't get it. Like you didn't
Yeah.
see what was going on in the '90s. You got the reverb of it through time and reruns and all of that. Like it's totally different. Like I was born in 92, so I saw 8 years of the 90s, and Spider-Man the show was amazing. That was the whole reason why I got into comics. That's the whole reason why Spider-Man's one of my favorite heroes. Static Shock, the fact that that's going to be on HBO Max, I'm probably going to binge watch that like no other. So I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah, my brother's probably about the same age as yours. He's 5 years younger than me, but he's a Marine, so I'm not going to say anything to him. He'll kick my ass.
Yeah. He's
And
just
he
a
grew up on the
Marine.
same stuff I did pretty much. So, he's all right, I guess.
My one brother-in-law's Army, and my other one was a Marine, and they always complain about who was stronger and all that stuff. So
Oh, I can
I
answer
totally
that.
get it.
Marines definitely are.
For sure. So it's been a pleasure to have you on. If you want to stay and talk Grails, you're more than welcome to stay. But if not, I definitely wish you guys luck. I would love to hear more about this and interview again when the Kickstarter goes live.
Absolutely, sir. I'm going to go to bed.
Have a good
But
one.
I'll talk to you again soon, man. See you later.
For sure. Peace out.
Peace.
So that was Outlaws Comics. Very excited to meet with him. It was truly amazing. So I'm going to start talking about Grails. And Grails are those excellent books that we all want to have in our collection. And we want to really enjoy them. Before I get into that, I'm going to do a quick little break. I'm going to put up our amazing, 30-second timer. Not truly amazing, but you get it. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back and talk Grails. All right, we are back. So excited to have all of you again. If we hit that excellent 21 watchers live, we will be doing an awesome giveaway. Let me get that out real quick. You know what? Actually, even if we don't hit 21 live, if we can hit 100 views in the very first 24 hours, I will give away this Gwenom versus Carnage book. So Gwenom vs. Carnage, issue number 1, the first print cover. If we can hit 200 in the very first 24 hours, I am going to give away that book and the variant. So again, the Gwenom vs. Carnage variant book. And if we can hit 250, actually, you know what? We're going to do this as a subscriber giveaway. If we can hit 350 subscribers, so almost 100 subscribers before February. So we've got, today's the 29th. We've got until Monday to hit that. So 350 subscribers, I'm going to give away those 2 books, whether this hits 200 or not. Those 2 books and the first appearance of the one and only Cortland Cassidy as Plague. Super hot book, super awesome. I really hope that you guys get to join us, and it's going to be amazing. So again, 100 views in the first 24 hours will be the first Gwenom vs. Carnage print. 200 views in the first 24 hours will be that second Gwenom vs. Carnage, or Gwenom vs. Carnage variant. And then if we can hit that famed 350 subscriber mark, I'm giving away both of those books and the very first appearance of the one and only Cortland Cassidy as Plague. So let's hit those marks. And when we hit that 300 subscriber mark, you know what's up. Check out the ticker below, where noobs and experts alike come to talk comics and learn from each other. Next big giveaway at 500 subscribers. 300 subscriber giveaway is coming up very, very soon. And we know that you are excited because our 300 subscriber giveaway is going to be a pop. I am literally going to go live pick a winner out of all of the people who comment on that 300 subscriber video. Go to my local comic book shop, pick that winner, and then show you all of the pops on their lovely, lovely Pops Lounge shelves. And you can pick one pop that I will send to you free of charge, totally to you. You get that pop for free. And you never know, I might throw in two. It's 300 subscribers. I might even throw in three. With all that being said, let's get into it.
The Avengers. That's what we call ourselves. Earth's mightiest heroes.
I have an army.
We have a Hulk.
All right. So you know what's up. We are live. We are excited. We are the Loungers. So I'm here to talk Grails. And it's actually kind of interesting. And I'm really excited. So really happy to talk with you guys. I cannot wait to see what you guys have to say, because when it comes to Grails, I don't have any yet. I'm new at this. I have some very minor keys. I have some personal Grails, but not truly Grails, if that makes sense. I know it's kind of difficult to understand, but I would love to talk about this with you guys, and pretty much we'll get into it. Real quick, though, I always like to make sure to give the local comic book shops in my area their due diligence. I love supporting them. It's always great to have local comic book shops in your area because we need them. So first things first, Rhinos Comics right here. You guys are awesome. Definitely giving them a shout out. And another one that I absolutely love for putting up this amazing auction this weekend is Retro Recollectibles. So this is why I'm actually talking Grails. There's going to be an auction in my area that I am very, very excited about because it has one of my very first Grails. One of the ones that I want to add to my collection. It's one of my most affordable ones. I'm very excited. Very excited to dive into it because it's going to be one of those ones where it's not worth a lot, but that's not why I'm getting it. It's something that is all about who I am as a collector, and I'm a Spidey fan. And who would Spidey be if there was no Venom? So this is one of my very minor Grails, one that I kind of just had to have in my collection because it's a Venom book. It's nothing special. It's nothing really all that amazing. It's not like it's $1,000 book. That's not why I do this. I'm not collecting them because I'm looking to buy them low and sell them high. That's not what I do. That's not me. The reason why I get into all of this, thank you, Shattered Glass Comic Reviews. Just got my box in the mail. Thanks so much. You are welcome, buddy. I know that I'm a little late on that. You commented that way back, but we were talking about that awesome creator, Outlaws Comics. So definitely willing to give you a quick shout out. Anyways, so this book is one of those books that isn't huge. It's not something that's extremely special. Yes, it's a $9 raw copy. It's in fairly good shape. There's a little bit of wear and tear, like right here. But again, this is just one of those books that I love to have in my collection. It's a Venom book. It's one of his very first appearances after his first appearance. And it's so cool. I also have in that box over there That one. The Symbiote Spider-Man box. It's so hard to do this when I'm backwards. Kind of mirrored and all that. That box right there. I have in there Amazing Spider-Man 362 and 363. Those are minor grails to me because those are the second and third appearance of Carnage. So to kind of talk about all of this, it's really awesome because you need to know your grails. You need to know those books that you have to have for your collection because they are a part of your collection. It's really amazing to have those books in your collection. They're great talking pieces. One of mine is actually sitting upstairs right now. It's my only slabbed grail. And again, it's minor. It's nothing insane. It's nothing that's a huge key. It's not this big, awesome book. It's the very first titled issue of Nova and the origin of Richard Rider. It's Nova number 1. It's at an 8.0. It's one of those books that I picked up in an auction. What is up, David? How is it going, buddy? If you're following me right now and you're talking about comics, let's do it. It is better than nothing. You know, it's one of those books that's in my collection, and I love it. I got it at an auction for like $60 or so, and it's something that I can always call back to. It's my oldest slab. It's one of those ones that it was my second slab. The first one I actually ever bought. The other one was won for me in a charity raffle. Just for being part of the Comics Lounge, they decided because I was supporting their charity so much that I would put into, or that they would put me into their raffle, and I ended up winning. It's a Venom 4 copy. It's really cool. I love the cover with Miles Morales on it and whatnot. And David, Nova is the man. I cannot wait for him to be in the MCU. But it's, again, nothing major. I do have a few copies that I'm looking to get slabbed right now. Again, nothing huge. My other grail is something that really speaks to villains that I like. So obviously, I love Venom, love Carnage, but the true villains that I'm a huge fan of, and none of these books are in near mint condition, really. They're all kind of not shaken up, but just not in perfect shape. So there's this one. It's Amazing Spider-Man 334. It's the Return of the Sinister Six. And again, nothing huge, but I'm a huge fan of the Sinister Six. I think they're a really cool team up of bad guys. I really like the idea of the Sinister Six. I was really pissed off when they did not come out with the Sinister Six movie, like they had planned to with Andrew Garfield. I'm hoping that's where Marvel's going to go, but I digress. You never know what is going to happen in the grand scheme of things. And I just kind of want to make sure that when it all comes down to it, that I have these books. It's something that the covers aren't phenomenal. They're nothing to write home about. But again, these covers are just, or the books, there's just so much history in them. So I have the full run. It took me a little while to collect this. 334, 335. Here is 336. And then also 337. And I'm definitely a huge fan. That's obviously Hobgoblin right there. I'm a huge fan of Green Goblin. He's, again, one of my favorite villains. So Vulture, Doc Ock, Mysterio, Sandman, Electro, and Hobgoblin. And that makes 6. So it's really cool. I loved reading these. I just got done talking with Outlaws Comics about old school comics and whatnot and the differences and how the art's kind of grown. It's very interesting to see where it's all gone in the past 20, 30, 40, 50 years even. And as I said, even like this book obviously isn't a young book, but as he said, the faces and these artists that were revered in their day. It's amazing. It's not that they were bad artists. It was interesting how they were, or the artwork that came out of the 60s and 70s, and whatnot. But my whole point that I'm trying to get at, and the reason why I'm kind of diving into all of this tonight, is because of that auction. One of my minor grails is Secret Wars #8. It's one of those ones that I need to have. I'm very excited to have the prospect of getting it into my personal collection in a near mint minus condition. The person who's selling it and auctioning it is local, Retro Recollectibles. They're doing it locally, so it's amazing. It's really awesome to have that prospect. And if one more shameless plug before I'm done with shameless plugs, Ken Wheaton. This is one of his pieces of art that he drew for the owner of Rhinos. And this book is just so cool. It is such a cool, interesting cover. Love seeing it all the time. Every time I see it, it makes me laugh. So, again, Rhinos Comics. Go check them out on Facebook and Instagram. And let Chet know that you saw this on the Comics Lounge. He will be so excited because this is amazing. We want this to be something that can support local comic shops. We want to always talk about those local comic shops. And this is episode 1 for the year. This is, there we go. This is episode 1 for the year. This is something that is truly something I've been wanting to do for quite some time. So this right here is even a grail in of itself for me to be able to sit here and talk to you guys and kind of speak about all of the stuff that I love about comics. Again, I'm new at this. The first comic, and I actually joked with Ripstick Comics, that I ever got into was a comic that really isn't insanely special. It's nothing, again, nothing to write home about. It's not a grail. It's a book that I needed, a book that spoke to me when I saw it. And it's one of those ones that just is absolutely beautiful. So, allow me to show you this really cool book. Again, this is probably the most expensive $15 I've ever spent. And I actually made a joke about that with Ripstick because, and if you don't know Ripstick, his name's Cameron. So Cameron and I were talking about Grails and talking about the current issues that are coming out and everything that's going on. And I basically said to him, I was like, it was awesome to get into comics. And I said, this was the most expensive $15 I ever spent. The reason why I say that is because not only did I need this book, but this is the Go Down Swinging conclusion. This was the last issue, I believe, that was written for Amazing Spider-Man by Dan Slott before Nick Spencer took over. Correct me if I'm wrong, and this was the Delgado, I always pronounce it wrong, Delgado. I always mix them up. I think it's the Delgado variant. So Amazing Spider-Man 800 variant edition, Go Down Swinging conclusion by Dan Slott, Stuart Immonen, Humberto Ramos, Giuseppe Camuncoli, Marcos Martin, and Nick Bradshaw. And again, this led to me filling a short box, that short box, with Spider-Man comics. And then I don't know if you can see this, but that led to filling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that one's nearly full. 7 more short boxes. And that doesn't include the stuff that I am currently working on reading, which is all of that right there. The stuff, the previews that I'm currently working on making videos for, the stuff that is actually right behind where you guys are that just got bagged and boarded, the stuff that needs to get bagged and boarded right here, and a few other comics right there that need to also find a home. The home is my home, I should say. But those comics are comics that I got. These are the amazing Ultimate Spider-Man books that I got from Bin City Comics on Instagram. So, honestly, it's awesome to have all of these minor keys, major keys, everything that's pretty much been going on in comics over the past 5 years I've been trying to dive into. There's a lot, as you can plainly see behind me. And it's amazing. So crossing my fingers that I'm able to get my hands on my very, very first Grail. And I'm basically going to say to Chet at Rhinos Comics, if I win that book, send it off to CGC and don't talk to me about it until it comes back, because I am so excited to see my very first true Grail in my collection. It's truly going to be one of those ones that just, I can't wait. It's awesome. We're going to talk more about this. We're going to talk about the best ways to get your Grails next Friday. We're going to try to get World Travel Nerd and JC Comics Collectibles live on here. We will definitely work to get them live. We are so excited to have them, and it's going to be awesome. It's truly one of those things where it takes a little while. This was basically an interview process to talk to Outlaws Comics. Been talking to him for about 2-3 weeks about doing this. Now this is issue 1 of 2021. So again, we're just excited to kind of get the word out about the Comics Lounge in 2021. We want to at least hit 500 subscribers by the summer, and then just kind of build from there. We would be totally excited to go at that level. And if you guys want me to do this, I will totally do it. So let me know in the comments below, because I think it would be really cool to do a live here and be live on the auction for Rhinos, so that you guys could see all of that bidding going down. You guys could see every little detail of that, because I think that would be really, really cool to do. I think it would be awesome to kind of dive into that side of the comics. How do you get your Grails? What is the best way? How to know what to buy? How to know when to buy it? How to know what to pay for it? There's so much about it. If you are new to comics, I don't want to tell you that it's not going to be easy to get your Grails, but I also don't want to tell you that it's going to be cheap, because it's not. Grails are typically expensive. Obviously, if you're just trying to complete a collection, sometimes, like my Amazing Spider-Man collection, when I collected these Return of the Sinister Six books, it was, I want to say $25-$30 that I paid all in all for all of them. And again, they're not in the best of shape. They're not books that are worth thousands of dollars. That wasn't what I was going after. I was going for getting books that spoke to me as a collector when I first started out. They were minor Grails to me. They were books that I wanted and needed in my collection, and I was still learning. It's okay to be a noob when it comes to all of this. It's okay for you to understand that there's so much more to this. And I'm hoping that on Sunday I will be able to go live with you guys, whether it's here or on Instagram. I'll let you know in my story on Instagram. So make sure you go on Instagram after this and subscribe. But I definitely want you guys to see that side of it because it's very interesting to say the least. The whole process in of itself is something that there's something to be said for it. It's hard to kind of voice all of this, and I'm very apprehensive because I don't want to tell you guys the wrong thing, and I don't want to sit here and say and get your hopes up. Because what is up, Legion? Legion, where have you been? No, you got 2 kids at home, buddy. I totally get it. So it's not easy to put Grails in your collection, and that's why I want to make sure that we can talk about this a few different times. So, Legion, thank you for joining us. I was just telling everyone, you and I have been talking for a while about getting your Grail. And we've been talking this past week about Secret Wars 8, how it's one of my Grails. You know that it's not easy to get your hands on a Grail that is worth putting in your collection. There we go.
What is
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, I just got home. My mom had eye surgery today, so we've been playing musical cars, getting her to where she needs to be.
Totally understand, dude. We've been I know you don't understand this, but we've been dealing with snow here. So when I got out of work, it looked like because of all the roads and stuff that we weren't going to be able to go the normally 20-minute drive that was actually about 40 minutes at the time, about 15 miles away to go pick up my son from my mother-in-law's. So I totally get that shuffling of everything going on.
Yeah. It was my off day. I'm back to my normal work routine. So it's like my one little off day here on a Friday. So it just turns out to be a busy day, just having to run all the errands and everything. And my mom specifically scheduled her little eye surgery for my off day to be her chaperone. But that with the kids, it's just it's fun. It's worth doing, family first.
For sure. So I was just kind of talking about Grails and how I've been trying to pull the trigger on Secret Wars 8, trying to find the right one on eBay. And there's actually one that's in near mint minus condition that just popped up at my local comic shop for an auction on Sunday.
Nice. I was gonna message you and tell you, but there's a 9.2 sitting in one of my LCSs.
Okay.
And I don't know what he's got on it. Some of his stuff is it's not the one that I have my subscription box at. It's the other one that hasn't been around as often, and some of his prices are great. Some of them, are just like this max value. So the market changes so much. You might have priced it when it was a little higher with some items, and it kind of comes down. I never really know. But I've gotten a lot of stuff from him. I've got this from him, that Hulk 102 from him. I got I bought my first appearance of Deathstroke from him raw and sent it in to be graded, and it came back. I had to press and clean it. It came back at 4 or 5, so I'm kind of in it $10 over fair market value at this point.
Yeah, which $10 isn't much.
No, it's not. But it still feels like a personal loss.
Yeah. It's different, I feel, when you're doing it to sell it, like you're trying to get into a book to capitalize on the massive market that's behind it right at that particular moment. And it comes back and you're like, crap, it wasn't worth what I thought it was going to be worth. But
well, you know me, I don't sell stuff.
Exactly. When it comes to your own personal collection, I'm okay with a $10 loss.
I just picked up a Mr. Miracle #1. I'm a huge DC fan, huge Kirby fan. So Mr. Miracle has been evading me all last year for 2020, and it just happened to fall in my lap in a local honey hole. And I was talking to my brother, who the last convention me and my brother went to together was Heroes Con in North Carolina. That's where we met Stan Lee and everything. And he found a Mr. Miracle #1 accidentally put in a dollar bid, and he got his for $1. And it's a low copy. It's like a good at best. It's really not great. But I was talking to him about it, and I told him what I paid for it, and I told him at that price plus sending it to get it pressed and clean plus graded, I'm still like 40 under fair market value. And he made that argument too, where he's like, well, you keep in mind it's for you and your personal collection, so it really doesn't matter. And my argument to that is, if I go to Wendy's, I'm not paying $12 for the 4 for 4. It's for me, but I'm still not paying $4 for the 4 for 4.
Yeah. Which makes sense. I mean, there's certain books that if they were to come back lower grade than I would expect and I had to pay a little bit more, I'd be pissed off. But if it's like that grail of a grail, like Amazing Fantasy 15, if I ever could find a book that I could afford, I honestly wouldn't care what it was priced at, because even if it was a 0.5 copy, as long as it's not priced well beyond what it's worth, it's Amazing Fantasy 15. It's my ultimate grail. It's the one that I would die to have in my collection. It's one that I would love as a piece of history to just have and say, this was one of the first prints of this issue that really started something major and started pretty much all of my collecting.
That's really cool. First off, I do want to say I like your background right now. I'm just sitting here kind of looking at Spawn 1 and TMNT 1 and Todd McFarlane Spider-Man, Conan 1, old
Definitely.
Howard the Duck back there.
I just kind of combined a few different things and was like, this looks really sweet.
Yeah, I like it.
So like I was talking about like what got me into collecting, and why I started like looking into Grails and why I was drawn to the Grails that I'm drawn to. And I was talking to Cameron, Ripstick Comics. I don't know if you've ever followed him or looked at his stuff, but I was talking to him about the book that truly got me into collecting, like the one that started it all, the first comic book that I ever owned. And it was this beautiful, Amazing Spider-Man 800. And I said, this was the most expensive $15 I've ever spent, because it led to everything behind me.
Nice. I picked that up for $4 on mycomicshop.com.
Okay.
I don't know. I was wondering why it was such a good price, and when it came in, it has a missed staple in it. Like like if you're actually using a stapler, you're a teacher, you know how this goes. You know the thing on the bottom that you can push up and spin it around for the staples to go out?
Yep.
And how you can hit it? It's like a staple went into the book like that. Which doesn't bother me any, because that's a manufacturing thing, and that was a pure cover buy for me, because I love me some Gabriel Del Lotto.
Yep.
But so thought that was weird. I don't know if I didn't read it. I'm sure it probably specified My Comic Shop is awesome about details, but not my LCS, the website, mycomicshop.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually just picked up, and I'm not sure where I put it right now, but I just picked up 2 Del Lotto variants, one Virgin, one trade of the same book. And it was Amazing Spider-Man 850. And I mean, this was just absolutely beautiful. I wish I had it right here in front of me, but
he's one of the best artists for Spider-Man covers ever, dude. He's fantastic. I love the way he draws his eyes and everything.
Yeah, for sure.
He did a variant recently with Scorpion Comics. I think it was for King in Black Symbiote Spider-Man #1 or something. He's just standing there in the black costume with like the web just hanging out of the top of his fist toward the ground, just a little detail like that. I love how he uses lighter pens and colors on a black canvas. Oh, that's awesome.
Like I originally had bought Amazing Spider-Man 50, which 850 was actually issue 49, just the way that it ended up working out with the numbers.
The legacy number.
Yeah, as soon as I noticed that, I messaged them. I was like, I actually wanted 850. I think it was Street Level Hero. And I was like, this is the book I actually wanted. This is the book I ordered. Can we fix that before you guys ship it out? And they go, yep. And at one point on the shop app, it looked like they were sending me all 4 books for the price of the 2. And I was like, I'm going to feel like such a jerk if I get 2 books for free from them, because that's like, it ended up being like $45 that I'd be getting of books that I didn't pay
It's
for.
playing on your TV. I love the shop
in the
app
back cave
because of that. It gives you yeah. I just turned it on in the back cave. But I love the shop app because it gives you all this false hope. Like I'll have, especially during the holiday season, it kind of got bogged down. So I would have packages arrive that still showed they were in New York, and then I would just sit there and watch them and just like, are they going to send me another one, or is this app going to update? And the only thing I've been sent doubles of wasn't a shop app thing, but Hasbro, they sent me they did those exclusive figures for their convention at home thing, I guess.
Okay.
And it was Lord Draken Evo 3 from the Lightning series in a big box. They sent 2 of them, and they sent them out to tons of people. So the only thing that I've ever sold on eBay was the extra one of those. So I ended up getting mine for free because I got blessed with 2 of them. So I just pretty much put it on there for cost for no markup.
Nice.
And it sold within 10 minutes. I'm like, dang.
That's awesome.
Selling makes me so nervous, dude. I just don't want to, I don't want someone to be upset. I don't like I give sellers every chance in the world, and I reach out and talk to them and stuff. And I just hate the idea of upsetting someone. And there's some people out there that no matter what, they're not going to be happy.
Yep.
And I just don't want to have to deal with that, man.
Hey, it is what it is, right? I mean, that's one of the things. It's like, if I have a book that doesn't fit into my collection, I'll see if it's worth getting rid of, see if it's worth just trying to find a new home for it at my local comic shop. Like, just say, hey, Chet, I've got this book. I don't want it anymore. How much can I trade it out for one of the books that I want for my pull box? How much do you want, or how much could you give me for it? And just kind of go from there. I mean, there's times when my wife accidentally buys me a double or buys herself a double, and I'll just bring it back and I'll be like, hey, this is a book that I got a double of, not quite sure how. And he'll just trade it out for another book with me. I mean,
my shops are cool to do that as well. And I've gotten some stuff that just was way outside of anything I wanted to keep. I bought some collections and just weeded out the stuff that I wanted to keep out of it, and was left with like a short box amount of books or something. And I'd just go to my local honey hole and be like, hey, I know that most of this ain't big hitter stuff. There's a lot of like Hex of Swords in it, variants and stuff, and the First Deceased variants and stuff like that. And I looked everything up and got an idea of what this goes for if you piece it out. Then I just looked at what 30% of that is. Yeah. And I'm like, I'd rather not deal with the time, effort, and energy of trying to sell this myself. I'd rather just go store credit somewhere and just keep that working relationship. I didn't pay more than 30% of it, so I'm happy to get 30% store credit somewhere back that I'll eventually spend it at.
For sure.
It kind of supports local. I'm big on supporting local, man.
I once saw somewhere that if everyone put $100 that they normally would put to like a chain, if they put $100 a month to a local shop instead of the chain shop, you would create such an influx of cash in your local economy that it would be amazing.
Booming. Yeah, I can imagine.
And I mean, I've always been one to support local. I actually found a local comic shop on my way home from work that I would have never known existed. I was driving by it and I had heard of it, never knew where it was. And then a coworker who knew I liked comics got me a First Print Comics gift card for Christmas and just said, here you go. And I was like, okay,
that's super cool.
I might as well go spend this $10. I need to go make sure I can find it again. And lo and behold, I found it. I talked to the guy and I was like, don't tell my other local comic book shop guy, but I'm kind of cheating on him right now by being here. But I got this gift card and I really wanted to come check you guys out. And I bought like 4 different books that I've always wanted. Since Spider-Man's on Earth 616, I've always wanted Amazing Spider-Man 616. So I picked that one up just to have in my collection and say, look, I've got 616. So picked up a few around that same time frame that was coming out, and then picked up, I think, 2 or 3 books for my wife, and went way over the $10 that I was planning on spending. But again, I love supporting local. It's something that there's a lot to be said for being able to support someone that's in your community compared to supporting whether it's a massive website or a massive chain store.
All these online retailers pop up so quick too.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of lucky with with my LCS. It's been around since like the very early '80s. It's like one of the oldest comic shops in Georgia, and I just have like actual ties to it through my family and everything.
Okay.
So I'm definitely I shop there first and foremost. He doesn't buy a lot of collections or deal with a bunch of wall books. He doesn't high price ratio variants. He just gets stuff to move them.
Yeah.
They do a lot of the role playing and tabletop gaming stuff. Specializes there, and
Okay.
then the newer comic store that came into town. He's big into like sports cards as well, which drives like the majority of his business. Even though it takes up such a small area in his store, it's just such a high dollar investment these days.
Yeah.
But he deals a lot with he'll buy collections off people. He deals specifically through CBCS, so you have the option of submission stuff through him, and he's got a different variety of back issue stuffs where he buys collections. So there's all that going on there. So there's just different reasons that I shop at both of them. Normally if I'm not slammed, I go to my LCS that opens up at 10 and get my pull box, and I'll go over there and knock around, and I try to support both of them, and
Yeah.
like my LCS owner has called me when I was at work and asked me if I would run to the other shop on my lunch break and pick up a couple of books that, they talk to each other. And it's like, hey, I'm out of this book and I have a customer asking for it. Can I get one off you and play errand boy for him and stuff? Just because I'm on that side of town at work. And it's just really
awesome.
cool. Kind of like with the YouTube community, there's like even with them, there's like a real sense of community in the comic books, like,
Yeah.
Of course you want your business to do good, but you're not out to try to conquer the other one,
For sure. And I mean, that's
really, really cool community.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing about comics is even when I said that to Mike, I was like, hey, I'm kind of cheating on Chet right now by being here, but I've got this gift card. And he goes, oh, I know Chet. He'd be totally chill with you being here because him and I go way back, and we always talk and whatnot. And they do the same thing. When someone wants a book, they go to who they know and they talk to them and see what's up. I feel like it's very hard for an owner of a local comic book shop to get ousted by the other comic book shops around it because they're a network.
Some of this stuff I see online, dude, would warrant it, in my opinion, though.
Well, yeah.
You hear about some scary practices that some people in some of your areas deal with, like those shops that don't put price tags on anything, and you take a stack of books to the register and they price them right there while you're standing there, and like, dude, that's crazy.
Oh yeah, there's one in my area like that, and I'll never walk back in there because
I'm just late, buddy.
He's late. He doesn't put prices on anything. He makes you look through a book of stuff that he has, like old school comics. Because I was like, hey, I'm just looking for Amazing Spider-Man 361, 300. I just want to see if you have it, see what you have, and see how much it's worth. Because I knew that my local comic shop didn't have those, and I thought, hey, maybe he does. So I went over there, and he says, and I'm like, what are the prices on these? He starts looking through this book and flipping through it to find what it's worth, and he goes, well, fair market value at a 9.8 is this, and mint condition it's this, raw it's this. And I'm like, I get that, but this book that I'm holding in my hand right now,
I could have done all that with my cell phone. I'm just asking you, what's the price on your book, man?
Exactly. And I'm
he's trying to justify trying to knock your head off right there in front of you.
And I'm like, I said to him straight up, I was like, okay, that's a fair price. I want to go to some other shops, just see if I can find a better copy or a cheaper copy and see what the options are. And he goes, well, I'm not going to keep that price all day. And I'm like, hold on a second. The price is going to change if I come back in 2 days or 3 days. So I just never went back and never. I was like, have a good day.
Yeah. Like you're gonna quote me a high price on a book and not expect me to go out and maybe have to go get the money. Like so like I get like your video is talking about like getting your grails. It isn't something that you just like wake up in the morning, stretch, yawn, make coffee, and then go, I think I'll go buy a grail today. That's really not the nature of it. I didn't do that with that 181.
Yeah.
That was a process purchase. It was really a process purchase.
And see, that's the thing is like with my Grails, I've talked to probably about 6 or 7 different people in my local community, the Instagram community. Like, what's this worth? What's this? What's going on with this? And like I told you, I was like, how much would you pay for this? What would be a good first offer on this? And there was one where I messaged the kid. I said, I'm probably looking at about $20 of my own money to press this book out and clean it up, and then another $20 to $30 of sending it off to CGC. So by the time, if it comes back a 9.0 or a 9.2, I'm in it for $150 then.
Well, also, that was something I was thinking about after we spoke as well, when it comes down to how much money you have to put into a book and kind of putting that cost into the conversation with the seller. Like, there's different ways to go about submitting a book. Some shops do it for you, and you can't really expect a seller. In my mind, I can't expect a seller to take into consideration the price point of a shop. But like if I do CBCS, I'm paying a shop's price because I have that option here, and I've ran the math. He's making like $3 a book.
Yep.
So he's really just using the service for his customers so that he's able to send in the stuff that he's putting on his wall as well. But CGC, I have my own membership for, and I know what the cost is to send something in myself versus the cost I see like my buddy Brent. He's in Charleston. They charge $45 a book to submit to CGC. That is insane.
Yeah.
Like on the tier I'm on, it costs me $18 a book.
Yep.
$18 a book, and then depending on how many I'm sending in, you kind of send in the most you can for that shipping bracket, and you get like $20 UPS shipping back to you. You send in like, I don't know, like 8-10 books. That's really not so. Pay like $20 a book.
Yep.
So like I can kind of factor that in. The presser that I use is comic book _ pressing on Instagram. His name's Eric.
Okay.
I'm sure he knows magic because he's a wizard with these books. I'm being serious, and he's awesome. He communicates to you. Like, you send him the stuff, and as soon as he cracks it to start working on it, he messages you, hey, I'm working on your books today. And then you start getting pictures all day long. And then he sends you a picture of, like, shipping out to CGC today, because I pre-submitted my books with CGC and just included the packing slip with it. So the return shipping didn't come to me. It went straight to CGC, so I cut out that shipping cost as well, Then I have you get a free shipping code, and you can get free return shipping. So it's just shipping to him, $10 a book, and then free shipping to CGC, and then the CGC shipping's included to get back to me. So you can really cut a lot of costs through all that pressing and grading as well. Like CGC, getting your own thing is the way to go, even if you only submit one time a year, because they give you a $150 credit. If you can get the $150 membership, and they give you a credit. So whenever you get $150 saved up and like, I'm ready to do a submission, put it in your savings account, go sign up for it, and just spend it right then and there. And just, you didn't.
That's awesome.
You're good to go on it.
Yeah. And so the presser that I use is local, and I'm sure you've heard of Kodak. That's a Rochester thing. Kodak cameras.
No. Oh, cameras.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the rapper Kodak Black.
Oh no! So
I'm just kidding.
Kodak cameras.
You have some
right here in Rochester. That's where it all started. So Retro Recollectibles. He actually used to work for them as a paper. To kind of dumb it down from what he told me, because I can't remember the exact logistics of what he was doing. He's a paper saver. And
paper restoration specialist.
Yeah. And basically he was someone who would look at how to make the best film, how to make the best pictures, and how to make sure that they were going to last for a long period of time. And when he was done with Kodak and when he retired from there, he started Retro Recollectibles in Rochester to press and clean books and to basically be a comic book conservationist who was built around making sure that these books were well taken care of and well done, I guess is the best way to put it, and not make it cost a lot to his customers. So he does cleaning and pressing for $12. And as long as there's nothing major and he doesn't have to do much, it's $12 to do it. So when it all comes down to it, my local comic shop charges about $23 a book. And
That's not
then
bad.
exactly. And then if you clean and press, it's another $12. And I think he then does, like, if you want a little bit more or needs a little bit more, I think it jumps up to like 20, and then maybe the max if it's like a full clean and it's an older book and it needs a lot of work, without obviously getting a restored copy purple label. I think he charges maybe $50, if that.
Like a
and it's
major
like,
job.
yeah. And it's like, that's what I want to do. And that's what I look for when I'm looking for people who are going to take care of my stuff, is someone who's not in it for the money. They're in it to truly, because they love the comics. They love making sure that they are taken good care of. And just, I mean, he's the whole reason why my book that was probably going to get graded at a 9.2 or 9.4, that X-Men 4 that I got graded, he cleaned and pressed it. It got graded at 9.8. And it was one of those books that I wanted to send off, and I was very curious about sending off. So I was like, you know what? This is a book that I'm probably going to get rid of, that I want a better home for. It might be worth something to someone else. I'll send it off and then save that money and put it toward hopefully a Grail somewhere in the near future. So, I mean, that, I think it was $150 that I made off raffling that book, is sitting in a savings account right now waiting to be used on my next Grail. And that's what a lot of people tell me to do, is if you have a book that's worth something that's just not fitting your collection, you got it through, like you said, through a big collection that you bought, or a mystery box, or something that just came in and you didn't really care about it, sell it and put that money towards something you are going to care about. And
yeah, I'm going to try to do something along those lines here soon. I won like 4 big prizes from different channels all in the same week. And 2 of those things were thick monthly mystery boxes from the channel. And both boxes ended up with like ridiculous value in there. Some of the books, like one box had 2 books that are selling over $100 a piece now. And I don't care to keep either one of them. You know, they're awesome books, awesome covers. And but I'm just so lazy with selling or wanting to hassle myself that I'll probably sit on them until they flop. I don't know. But I would love to get rid of them and then put it towards something else. But that just seems so tiring. Just thinking about it makes me exhausted.
For sure.
Having to post it and having to talk to people about the condition and the grade of a brand new book. It's a brand new book.
Yeah.
There's no obvious wear and tear on it. It's a brand new book.
Yep.
Does it need a clean and press? It's a brand new book.
Yep.
That's a very subjective concept if a brand new book needs a cleaner press.
Yeah, and I mean, you're more than welcome to clean or press a brand new book, but is it going to be worth it? Unless, I have seen some books come from Diamond, or any distributor. Diamond is the one that my local comic shops use, and it has that little bit of waviness in the cover.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it might need to be pressed, or it might just fall out of it after it's been put in a bag and a board for a few weeks.
Have you ever seen Grader's note that said wavy?
Yeah.
You have? I haven't. I haven't ever looked or anything. Just wondering if I've, like, a brand new book, that, because if they don't mark off your books for those flares on the spine of a book, you know, like down here, how a lot of them, because Diamond ships books raw, stacked in a cardboard box. You'll see very common that you'll see little flares on the top and bottom corner. They don't.
Oh,
They
for
don't
sure.
mark off. They don't mark off for that. So why
Oh,
would they
not at
mark
all.
off for a wavy book that's been shipped in a box through like a humid area?
I thought you meant like, have you ever seen someone mention it? I've seen a lot of people mention it, but
Oh yeah,
yeah, no, I've never seen a grader's note like that that said literally wavy. I mean,
wavy. But then
and
again, CGC won't give you grader's notes if it's anywhere near a near mint copy.
yeah,
That's another good thing about CBCS. They have that QR code on the back. Anything below a 9.8 has a grader's notes attached to it.
okay,
They
that's good to know.
you don't have to buy the notes. You don't have to go look them up. There's on the back side of a CBCS lab. There's a QR code. You have one with your flash book, but it was a 9.8, so there'll be
Yeah.
no
Yeah,
notes necessary.
both that I sent off to, and I'll go grab them real quick.
Yeah, he sent off 2 different Flash 750 covers from Boss Logic. They're the same book, I think, just slightly different variants. He sent one to CGC and one to CBCS. Both came back 9.8.
Yeah, both of them are 9.8s. That scan variant. I never know how to pronounce his name.
However you
that
want.
came back in 9.8. And then,
You see the QR code on the back of it?
yep, right there.
So all of CBCS books, if you want grader's notes, you can just stand there in the shop, in the convention floor room. You don't have to sit there and pay a retailer or a convention booth user for grader's notes, which some people charge you for the grader's notes on, because you might want to know, if I buy this 6.5 book, can I clean and press it and get a grade bump? So that stuff like that factors into the price of them. But with CBCS, you can sit there with your phone and just like drop your little home screen menu, and you have QR scanners just sitting right there in there, just right in those
Yep.
main screen menus. You get grader's notes just like that.
So I have to let you know this because I know you're a DC fan.
Me?
It possibly.
DC fan? Possibly.
Batman 92 and 93. Nice. Batman 92 and 93.
Punchline.
What?
Is that the punchline stuff?
Yeah. One is a punchline variant, or it might even be the first print. I'm not quite sure. And the other one, 93, is that grotesque Harley. I think she's got like a battle axe or something she's carrying. Both of those are for sale in that auction I was talking about. Those books are just so cool. I mean, the covers that have been coming out lately are phenomenal.
I'm trying to think of which covers that. Is it the one with Harley where she has like the Joker mask on and kind of pushed up on her head?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And then the punchline cover was the cover B. The cover A is like a chessboard or something.
Okay.
Maybe that was her cameo one, but the cover B has like a full body shot of her.
Yeah.
That's
it's the full body one.
I've got numerous copies of the Hell Arisen book for her. Her first appearance wasn't even in Batman. They did a cameo in Batman, and then her first appearance was Year of the Villain, Hell Arisen, issue 3 of 4 that Joshua Williamson was writing. And I was picking that series up at the time just off the shelf because not a lot of people were following all the Year of the Villain stuff too heavily. So I didn't add it to my pull box. And I pick up issue 1, I pick up issue 2, and then I see the internet going crazy about issue 3. I'm like, oh no, this is not good. So I call my LCS. I'm like, dude, can you go ahead and add Hell Arisen to my pull box? Because I've been reading it and I just see where everyone's going nuts. He's like, I'm already out. Everyone's already called and had them thrown in their boxes and stuff. So I paid $20, prepaid $20 online. I can't remember from where for the cover A. Yeah,
Yep.
This is what I'm talking about. And
9.8 and 9.6.
They're already slabbed.
Yep.
Yeah. That the one with her on the cover is just her first cover appearance, and then the Harley book. I don't know what's up with that one. The one with Harley. I think that's just a leading into the Joker War book. But I got the cover B, which was awesome. Yeah, I forget who the artist was. It was Perillo or something like that. But it was a King Shazam on the cover, and I got that for my birthday as a gift. So I got cover A and B, and then
That's
like
awesome.
the second print and the third print. I don't know why. I normally don't buy the second and third prints of stuff, but they were cool, and my LCS threw them in my box in case I wanted them.
So I'm not
Ooh.
usually a huge fan of him.
Paul CS did buy a small collection recently. And he told me he's going to go through and price everything and throw it in my box and let me just kind of pick through it and get what I want out of it first. And I got a Fantastic Four issue 55,
That's
the
awesome.
fourth appearance of the Silver Surfer.
Okay.
Go Collect has this book at a 0.5 as a $40 value. I
Wow.
paid $5.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's definitely better than a 0.5. It's definitely rough, but I got some good 12-cent Batman goodness with a 194,
Okay.
$5. 188. Look how awesome that error was. Like it says, here comes the rubber-headed villain, the eraser who tried to rub out Batman. It's literally a pencil bad guy erasing Batman.
That's
So
awesome.
weird. And then Batman 184, it's got the famous Batman hotline phone there from the old Adam West series. But yeah, just some cool Batman goodness.
I love how not stupid, but just crazy different the whole idea of that hotline phone was. And I love that Incredibles 2 kind of like played into that, how they had the hotline phone and no one answered, and that's why she was the villain. One of the ones that I just got, and I didn't buy it, it came as a thank you gift with those Delato variants. Amazing Spider-Man 800, the third print. I mean, that's just such a cool Green Goblin looking. Cool. And I mean, like you said, normally I don't do third prints, fourth prints. I'm actually kind of glad that I picked up the second print of Venom 19 because it was like the first cover of Dylan Brock, and apparently it's worth a lot. I mean, I'm not going to sell it. It's one of those ones that
Venom stuff is spiking right now. What do you think is going to happen with you having been collecting comics for a few years now, and from your perspective, what do you think is going to happen with the Venom run so far? Because there's Venom 3, that's the Null first appearance in it, and you have the first appearance of Dylan, and you've had the Codex thing, the Black Winter thing. You have all these things going on, but you have King in Black happening now. And when it's over with, Marvel's going to be moving on to the next thing. And what do you think is going to happen with those issues and their value?
Honestly, I'm hoping that they stay where they're at. I'm hoping that they stay the modern keys that they could be and the future keys that I'm hoping they will be. I don't think they're going to hold their value well. I think once everything's kind of said and done, the hype is going to kind of die out. I know that Venom 3 took a huge bump when King of Black came out, and we saw Null for the first time in a long time. But it's hard to say. Donnie Cates is saying he's not going to do another Venom book, and I think considering the fact that he's only 30, he'll be 35 issues in at that point, I think that it's a little soon for him to be leaving, but at the same time, it's been years. I think it's been almost 3-4 years now that he's been doing this. I think it's time for him to move on.
He writes so many indie titles too.
Yeah.
Like as enjoyable as it's got to be to work on characters that you potentially grew up enjoying and reading, it's got to be a whole different ballpark for these people to get to put their own creations out there.
For sure.
I've seen a lot of writers not necessarily jumping ship, but taking the opportunities that come before them to do a lot of the indie stuff lately. There's a lot of good talent over at Boom and Image right now that were previously at Marvel and DC not long ago. Tom Taylor, Al Ewing, Donnie Cates, or just a lot of them. James Tynan the fourth.
And I think Donnie Cates actually got his start at Image Comics. I think that was one of his first titles that he ever put out. I don't know if he was the sole writer on it or if he was like I can't think of what it's called when
And
you're kind of
I
like
haven't
below
read
the
too
writer,
many
but
of I haven't read too many of his books that I'm aware of. You know, I haven't actively dodged them. It's just my reading and collecting comes in major ebbs and flows. And
mhm.
right now, I'm reading more indie titles than I have in a long time. And but I think a lot of his stuff just kind of went below my radar. I would hear people talk about it and tell me how good it was and tell me about it, and that would be sufficient enough for me. You know, it wasn't
Yeah.
until like crossover came out that I really cared to jump on a Donny Cates book here recently. Uh, like Al Ewing with We Only Find Them When They're Dead. That sounded awesome. And Immortal Hulk has been fantastic. So I'm like, I'm definitely going to try that out. And it's definitely not let down. It's a great indie series. Tom Taylor, that's why I started picking up Seven Secrets, because he's one of my favorite writers at DC. He does all the DC stuff. He's doing Hellblazer right now. He did all the Earth 2 books during New 52. He's just a very, very dynamic writer. I really enjoy his stuff. So I tried that one out, and it's been good.
Okay.
There's some top talent in the indie field right now.
For
I
sure.
wonder if Donnie's going to plan on committing more to the indie stuff, or if he's still going to be writing Eddie Brock stuff that he might just feel a different purpose for a while other than Venom. If he's just going to take over Noel's throne for whatever reason.
I think that's the direction they're going to take. I think Eddie Brock is going to become the new god of the symbiotes in a different way. I'm very interested to see who this god of light is that they alluded to in Venom or King in Black number
So you
3.
don't think it's the Silver Surfer?
Based on the way that the Silver Surfer was talking, no, because he said I can break through um, the cover of Earth and the God of Light can't. So I almost think Silver Surfer is the herald for the God of Light. We've seen Silver Surfer be a herald for a bunch of different people.
Yeah,
So
it's kind of his thing.
yeah,
Kind of, it's his specialty.
it's one of those things that I hope deep down that they don't
Do you
just
have your
kill off
cell
the
phone?
character.
Do you have your cell phone handy?
Yeah.
Google God of Light Marvel,
Okay.
and it'll give you the name of a character that's previously existed and been deemed the God of Light in the Marvel history, Wikipedia, whatever thing there is. I looked it up the other day, and I don't know if it was a celestial name or if it was something on the lines of like Ego, the living planet, not like Ego necessarily from Guardians of the Galaxy, the movie. Because I mean that was Ego, but it was changed up to fit the movie universe. But
Mm-hmm.
it was some weird name I can't remember. I don't even think I could pronounce it properly when I saw it when I looked it up.
I've heard Adam Warlock's name thrown around a little bit as the God of Light. I've also seen, based on
That'd be cool.
what's been seen in, I think it was Guardians of the Galaxy, the tie-in for all of this. It would be possible for it to be, or not that it would be possible, but it made sense when I heard it, that it could be Star-Lord. Algan. Okay.
I don't know who that is. Yeah, I don't know who that is. It says Olgan was the god of light and favored son of Skyfather Tengri and the Mongolian incarnation of the elder goddess Gaia. So I know Gaia is like Mother Earth itself.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's on Marvel 616 database.
Okay.
So I don't know if that was just a god of light in some storyline or something, but that was just something I saw when I was just kind of looking at it the other day.
And I've also seen that there was a lot of talk about it in Web of Venom Wraith. And I remember reading Web of Venom Wraith. I don't remember there was a mention of the light and all of that. I honestly don't remember the book that much. I've been reading so much lately that it's all kind of blending together.
What if they bring Sentry back? Because, his thing is like he's got the power of a million exploding stars. And I don't know if you saw what was going on in Return of the Valkyries #2, but issue 2 that comes out next Wednesday is about the Valkyries going to save the Sentry Soul.
Yeah.
So they're not leaving Bob out the woods for long at all. So that'd be cool if they bring him back in without the void inside of him, and having his death and the release of the void kind of untethering him to the void, and now he is just left as the god. That'd be cool. I like the Sentry. He's, in my opinion, a super cool character.
For sure. And I've seen that too. I think that's definitely up there. There's also been a lot of jokes around this being the God of Light. I don't know if you've read this book.
No, absolutely not.
But at the end, she
Is
pulled
that
out.
her?
That's her. She pulled out this Asgardian staff.
She looks like Wonder Woman with white
Can't
hair.
think if they gave it a name, but it was what she stole from Doctor Strange, and she pulls it out and thinks that that's going to be their savior. They're going to give it to Doctor Strange, and he'll be their savior, and he ends up getting knocked out during the battle, and she picks it up and turns into that. So that's kind of where issue 3 is going to go. And then because my wife is a huge Black Cat fan, I had to pick up this cover. Nice. Anything Black Cat she is completely drawn to. She was Black Cat for Halloween this year. It's such an interesting character, but I definitely don't think that's the God of Light. I think Sentry's a great idea. At one point, I read that Ego, Silver Surfer was actually the herald of Ego, and he kind of did some bidding for Ego way back in the beginning of time, and that was kind of alluded to during Silver Surfer Black.
Yeah.
Yep. And that basically if Ego is no longer around, who's going to be the one that he could now be the herald for? Star-Lord would make sense.
Well, why does he have to be a herald for somebody? Because with Galactus, he was just holding his planet and his love basically over his head. You know, as long as you herald for me, I won't kill them.
Exactly.
And with Ego, that's just like, oh, favor for a favor thing.
Yep.
Like I'd rather see Surfer untethered.
Definitely.
He still has to get the power cosmic back, doesn't he? He's still power cosmicless.
I do not remember. I thought that he got it back.
I don't know. I just had heard again. I don't keep 100% up to speed on Marvel at all, but I just kind of dip my toes in it here and there and pick up the big conversation books because that's where I have the most fun. Just kind of doing what we're doing, just shooting the breeze about these things and talking about the possible. Infinite possibilities of the future outcomes of these things. That's just really enjoyable for me. But I had heard that he had lost the power cosmic or gave up the power cosmic, and I just didn't hear anything yet about him having got it back.
See, and I'm a huge Silver Surfer fan. I haven't read much of his newer stuff. I picked up the Silver Surfer Black just because I love the covers, and I'm a huge Silver Surfer fan. He's really an interesting character, and the fact that basically it was either do this or your whole planet dies, and you'll never know these people again. But it is what it is. You save them and forget them, or you all die. And I mean, that was one of the things that kind of drew me to that character. And I started to watch the old school TV show, the animated one.
Yeah,
I thought it was
90s.
pretty interesting.
Dude, yeah, and the action figures from that that series were awesome as well. They're like large scale and stuff. I still have some of those up in my attic. The 90s was banging for Marvel cartoons, dude.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four one was fantastic with all the dark shadows on the way that they illustrated it. It's good stuff.
I'm trying to look up right now if Silver Surfer currently holds the power cosmic. I know that during Silver Surfer Black, he had he was basically like this knight of symbiote, and someone had saved him from it. I can't remember who right off the top of my head, but that it was basically just shed off of him completely. So it would be interesting to see what they do with him. But again, for him to be a god all of a sudden, I don't think they're going to go that far with it.
I don't think he has to be a god. He's a Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't. Dude, he's a cosmic level character. Like when you're like gods are a very subjective term inside comic books and literature across the board. Like he's on par with set number of gods. You know, you can find a lot of gods in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that are going to have an issue when they run into a Celestial. Then you'll have a lot of Celestials that'll have an issue when they run into Eternity, the living embodiment of the universe itself. You know, there's levels to this stuff, and God's pretty low on the spectrum and all things. I think Noel's not as big as he thinks he is. When it all comes down to it, man, I think it's going to be classic comic book fashion. He's built up, he's big right now, but after this first story, just like with every other villain, you know, he's going to go away for a while. He'll pop back up, but he'll never be as dangerous as he is now.
Yeah.
Just like Thanos has never been more dangerous than he was during the Infinity Gauntlet. That was him at his max, you know, back when Starlin was writing the Infinity Gauntlet. And it's like that with all that's just how villains go until you get a really good writer and they haven't been around for a while. And I mean, I'm just sitting here thinking of a modern villain that's popped up that after it was all said and done, they still command like the big attention. And you ready for bed? Let's go to bed. All right, give me just a minute, okay? Where do you want to go to bed? You like to go to bed? Okay. He just brought all his blankets in here to tell me let's go to bed. Is this one mine? This one's yours? Yeah. Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's my main man with pots and pans, dude. Well, come around here and tell Mr. Chris good night. Yeah, come around here.
Night, buddy.
Good night.
Have a good night, kiddo.
Now let's go to bed.
Okay. All right, well, let me get him to bed. I got to be up at 5 a.m. myself. I saw where another gentleman in your chat got to be at 5 a.m. for working. I do that every day myself. I think I'm just used to being tired today.
You know, I feel like with COVID and everything, we've kind of gotten used to just being flat out exhausted 24/7.
It is what it is, right?
Yep.
Well, I definitely appreciate you having me on, man.
Of course.
And if you don't mind, do a little shameless plug for people that catch us on the rewind or in the live chat. Check out Legion of Comics on YouTube.
Definitely.
Smash that subscribe button. I just passed 400 subscribers today, so I have my next giveaway that I'll be announcing this week sometime. I'm going to get some cool stuff together to give back to the community as my way of saying thank you for watching my content and participating and allowing me into this awesome community. I really appreciate and have a blast doing what me and Chris are doing here. And so I would like to give something back to say thank you.
For sure. And as you know, we're doing a 300 subscriber giveaway. I'm literally, once we hit that mark, I'm going to a local comic book shop in my area, picking someone that commented on our 300 subscriber giveaway video and just showing you the pops wall. And you get to pick out a pop.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
pick a pop.
Pick a pop.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
And then our 500 subscriber giveaway, now with Cortland Cassidy coming back.
Oh, yeah.
Cortland Cassidy original 1600s variant 9.6 slab is my 500 subscriber giveaway.
Dude, when I saw you announced that without having any idea he was about to pop back up, and then he popped back up, and I said, "Oh my God! I hope to God that book doesn't skyrocket to like some like $1,000 book." I was like, "Pull the video, Chris! Pull the video! Take it down quick!"
In all honesty, I've got 3 others, and the funny thing is, that one was actually at $300 at one point. Yeah, that variant. The original copy ended up going for, I think right now it's at 150. That variant at a 9.8 is at $60. That's how much it dropped in about 3 months. So it'll be interesting to see with Plague coming back and all of this, seeing where they take him, and every other symbiote that's going to come out of King and Black, will that go back up to that 300 level, or will it drop back? Like, who knows? It could
all
do a
I
thousand
can
different things.
suggest, like, you can never know for sure, but how much does the first appearance of Riot go for? How much does the first appearance of every other symbiote go for?
Yeah.
Switching over to DC, how much does the first appearance of every other Hawkman who laughs, or this character who laughs, or that character? How much do those go for? It's just a frying pan effect, man. You never know, but for them to keep their value is the exception to the rule, not the rule. They'll always command more than cover price, but it takes great writers and relevant stories to keep these books key.
Yeah.
There's countless characters that are out there, countless, and every one of them have a first appearance, but you don't see those price tags reflected.
Look at how many speedsters there are in The Flash. I mean, none of them draw the money that Barry Allen and Jay Garrick do.
Wally West does.
Really?
Well, Jay Garrett is literally a Golden Age comic. So even if you don't have his first appearance, if you're getting a copy of a Golden Age comic anymore, you're spending bukus of dollars. Wally West goes way back as well. His first appearance was in like Flash 110. So you're getting, again, you're just getting, DC is, dude, it's history. So all these, like we were talking about modern keys, you're not talking about known characters with DC.
Yep.
You're talking about new characters. They like you go back to like the first appearance of the Teen Titans, like in the Brave and the Bold early on, So if you're trying to get semi-affordable copies, you're shopping in like the 2 and 3 grade range,
Yeah.
But DC's just it's a completely different animal when it comes to collecting. But this is a great time to be collecting DC because, again, just like how my collecting habit goes, popularity of these comics come in ebbs and flows. You go back to the 90s, Image took over for a while. You go back to like the 50s and 60s, DC was taking off and DC kind of tanked for a while and Marvel took off. And then you go to the 80s and it was back heavy into DC and they were kind of competing neck and neck. They go back and forth right now with the cinematic universe. It's drawn in a lot of new readers that just go to the shelves straight to Marvel first because that's what they're familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
But just like everything else in life, people get sick of the same old, and they'll start wanting something new and trying something else.
Definitely.
And after a while, it just goes back and forth. That's what's cool. I like it when they're both doing really well because that gives us better stories. They're having to try harder.
Yep.
I'll put it right there right now. Ready for bed?
See, and that's actually the last thing I want to say before I sign off. The other books that are up for sale in that auction that I want to take a stab at is the first, second, and third race between 2 DC characters,
Superman and Flash.
And
one of those goes for good money in a high grade, or in a mid grade.
Yeah.
The one with the black background coming straight at you and the guy shooting the gun off on the side. I forget what issue number it is. I think it's 4 something.
Okay.
I think it's Superman 4 something.
And
I don't know. I'm pretty sure.
I'm just so excited to be able to even take a stab at something like that.
Where's that auction happening?
So right on Rhino's Comics and Collectibles Facebook page.
Oh, cool.
You just gotta go like their page.
Is it live right now?
It's live 3:30 on Sunday.
Oh, okay.
So you just basically comment on the live if you want to do it and go from there.
Yeah, I'll definitely be at work.
Well, if you want anything, I can always auction, or I can always bid for you. Just go check it out and message me.
Will do. It's Rhino's
Comics and Collectibles in Rochester, New York.
I'll definitely check it out. I don't really do a lot of auctioning and stuff like that. I just feel weird doing it. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm. I get it. It's
a John Jang group.
It's one of those things where I don't always enjoy doing it. There's one guy in our area that always bids really high because he really loves the book. And there was one book that my wife really wanted to get her hands on, And I said, Bud, you need to will that to me when you die because my wife wants that as soon as she can get her hands on it. If you ever think about selling it, you know who to sell it to. It was a book that was worth, I want to say $100. So I was telling Rachel that I'm willing to go 120 on this book because it's a book you want. It's a black cat. It's amazing. The cover's beautiful. And she comes in with a $40 starting bid, thinking she's going to be the only one who wants this book. And this guy comes in with a straight up $200 bid. Yep. That's how much he wanted it. He's like, I
You
know
can't
what
compete with those kind of deep pocket people, man. They just take
exactly
the fun out of it.
Every time she sees him, she always is like, you took my book from me. I hate you, but I love you at the same time. And come to find out, he's actually a friend of my grandmother. So we always
nice.
joke around and whatnot. Yeah. Small world. But with all that being said, thank you for joining the lounge tonight. We hope
man,
you
I had a
enjoyed
blast.
lounging around.
Yeah, man. You have a great night. I'll catch you next time, Chris.
Have a good one. And if you're doing a Sunday thing, let me know. I might be able to give some news about those books that if I get them or not.
All right. Yeah, I'll try to check it out while I'm working tomorrow. Message you or something if I get some downtime Sunday. I said tomorrow.
Sounds good.
My days are mixed up. Sunday.
Nah, you're good.
Yeah, man. Well, you have a good night. I'll see you next time.
You too. Have a good one. All right, that was Legion. We've almost been 2 hours. This is one of our longest live streams yet. If you are still with us, I thank you so, so much. If you jumped all the way to the end to see this and to see if we're going to do a giveaway tonight, I'm thinking about it. I'm definitely up there with willing to do a giveaway. I might go live on Instagram and just kind of announce something real quick. So come to Instagram and find me there. Again, we're fastly approaching that 300 subscribers, and we're going to be getting to 400, 500, 600. I'm hoping 1,000 quickly, but again, just taking it one step at a time. With all of that being said, thank you for lounging with us tonight. Thank you for supporting us every way possible. Have a great night.